Alrighty, so I know many of you have been waiting on my Air 3S full review, and this is going to be a much more casual review. I wanted to take things sort of more from a long-term, average Joe perspective, since this initial unit was detained by US Customs. I've recently got both units. The unit that was detained ended up finally getting delivered after 40 days being delayed. This came about 10 days after the initial review, but I decided I was just going to use this and not really worry too much about creating a video review and trying to just look for the views. I wanted to really just put it through its paces and really determine if this was actually a good purchase for somebody that's coming from the Air 2S or even another older DJI drone. So in this video, we're gonna talk about my overall experience and what I think about the Air 3S after having used it for 30 days. Let's get started. What's good, everybody? Ken here. You're watching OriginaldoBo, and this is going to be sort of my long-term experience. I really don't want to call this a review video simply because I'm not going to go through an immense amount of specifications. I'm just going to talk about the overall experience with the Air 3S over 30 days, having traveled with it and using it professionally as well. If you're looking for something far more detailed, I'll go ahead and drop some links to some of my favorite detailed videos like 51 Drones and Billy Kyle, if that is something you're interested in. I've never been super huge on specifications and comparisons because, truth be told, comparison is the theft of joy. And I don't want to do this. If you're already interested in this drone, you should just be interested and consider buying it. If you're already thinking about it, you're going to probably do it anyhow, no matter what I say. So first things first, I have used this on a tremendous amount of professional shoots, mostly using it for vertical video. And I have to say that the dynamic range is probably one of the biggest reasons why you would want to consider this drone over a predecessor that DJI offers. This drone boasts over 14 plus stops of dynamic range. And yes, that is in the standard profile, which is pretty damn impressive. While I haven't had a lot of chances to really test this in low light specifications, simply because that's not how I use this drone, it does have some benefits to being used in low light. Maybe not quite as good as the Mavic 3, but it is holding up pretty well in most regards. I usually wait to do the camera stuff till later in the video, but I feel like that is the biggest change on this drone from the Air 3. We now have that 1-inch sensor, while the top telephoto sensor has remained the same. It is a big improvement. There's also an improvement in the color science. I noticed that color is a lot more accurate, also is seemingly easier to color grade using D-Log-M, and I find there to be a lot less luma noise in the colors, especially the yellows, with the Air 3S versus the Air 3. So if that's one reason you're looking to upgrade to this drone, you'll be happy to know that color accuracy has improved tremendously. We also get a slightly bigger battery on this. It's not by much, but it's enough to give you just a little bit added flight time. Honestly, I've been using batteries from the Air 3S and the Air 3, interchangeably, because they are forwards and backwards compatible, which is nice to see that DJI has done that. So now I have, I think, a total of 6 batteries, which I don't think I'll ever need anything more than that. You may be asking yourself, why are there blue props on this? What's wrong with the stock DJI props? Funny story, when I was in Las Vegas, I was flying this, I was out over a ridge, and if you follow me on Instagram, you would have noticed that I posted a story where I almost lost this unit. I had what we believe was a bird attack me, came down from the top, and literally broke all of the props on the drone. I don't even know how the Air 3S even flew back to me. That is just a miracle in itself, how I did not lose this drone. But I'll go ahead and post a really quick video snippet of that scenario that happened. It was absolutely insane. All right, so this is absolutely insane. We're out here flying pretty much in the middle of nowhere. I'm all the way up there on this ridge. All of a sudden the drone starts doing something incredibly nuts, like flips over. When I get it back, almost every single prop is completely destroyed, as if I hit a bird?
Maybe.
I've never experienced this, but
Yeah, you have.
when have I hit a bird and survived?
I don't know if it was a bird, but remember you had...
That's insane.
Yeah.
So after I found out all the props were broken, I ended up ordering a set of master air screw props. These are for the Air 3. Obviously, the props from the Air 3, the Air 3S, they're all interchangeable. So I went ahead and put these on just so I could be able to continue flying. It was the fastest way I can get props while I was still in Las Vegas. Although Lon did give me a set of props, which I did not return. I'm sorry, Lon. I was still able to keep on flying. I mean, overall, my experience with this has been very similar to the Air 3. If you're somebody that owns the Air 3, I don't see any purpose in buying the Air 3S. It's just not a big enough upgrade despite the enhanced dynamic range and color science. Where the Air 3S really does better than the Air 3, at least from my experience, is in the tracking capabilities. It's far more accurate using the automated flight modes than the Air 3S. The return to home in limited GPS environments, like in the cities, this thing does amazing. I never have a shadow of a doubt that it's going to make it back to me without crashing into a building, which is nice to see. And then of course the camera, that is really the biggest upgrades here, but otherwise everything else is really similar. And unless if you're a camera slut like myself, you're probably not going to notice much of a difference in the image quality. Truth be told, I've been incredibly happy with the Air 3, and I've used the Air 3 on a lot of professional shoots, and 90% of my Instagram reels have all been the Air 3. It's only been just recently that I've been migrating over to the Air 3S for the vast majority of my shoots. We also get new obstacle avoidance here and improvements due to the LiDAR sensor in the front. The jury is still out on that, on whether or not that actually makes a huge difference. I'm seeing a mixed bag when it comes to tracking purposes. I don't do any sort of automated tracking with this drone, so I really can't say one way or the other if this is really a big upgrade or not. Either way, I'm pretty happy with it, and I'm just gonna go ahead and throw up some sample footage that I have shot over the past few weeks with the Air 3S. Alrighty, so what did you think of that footage? Personally, I think it's really good. For the Tampa shots, that is just the standard color profile, and the vast majority of the Vegas shots, that was all done in D-Log-M. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to fly the Vegas Strip. Even though some of the people that we were with had a waiver, there was just certain aspects of being able to do so that we weren't able to complete in time. Vegas is always a mess, and I want to be as safe as I possibly can and also try to follow all the rules to make sure we are doing right by not only the people that hold these waivers, but doing right by you guys by leading an example. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the footage out of this. Like I said, I don't know if I would buy the Air 3S if I'm coming from an Air 3, but where this makes the most sense is if you have an Air 2S, a Mavic 2, or even a Mavic 3 that is aging at this point, then the Air 3S makes the most sense. Honestly, a 1-inch sensor, in my opinion, is plenty enough. The image quality is incredible. You really sort of get that 3D pop to the image, but the most impressive thing, like I said, is the dynamic range. I don't think a lot of people really harped on the color science or the dynamic range of this drone. Of course, we have OcuSync 4 built in here, and then of course we have the RC2, which is a fantastic controller. I wish we had a new RC Pro with a higher brightness and OcuSync 4. Maybe we'll see that later in 2025, but as of right now, all we have is that RC2, which I still think is more than plenty. Of course, I can go on, and this is just only the tip of the iceberg for the series that I'm going to end up doing on the Air 3S. Of course, I don't want to sort of tread over ground that's already been covered. Because I'm so late to the game, I just really wanted to talk about my overall experience. And for the most part, the experience has been really good. Now let me talk about some of the things that I've had issues with the Air 3S that you may be experiencing, and I just want you to know that you're not alone. First things first, the obstacle avoidance is way more sensitive than it ever has been before. And that could be, in fact, to due part to the LiDAR sensor. I've noticed like sort of phantom avoidance issues when it is in direct sunlight. Like I'll be in the middle of nowhere and it will tell me that there is a subject in front of me, even though there is not. Again, I can only imagine that is part of the LiDAR possibly having an issue. Most of the time I do fly in sport mode. The second issue that I've had with the Air 3S that I hope they... That was a bee. That was a bee. The second issue that I've noticed that's been pretty predominant is horizon tilt. I've noticed the horizons just ever so often. I find myself doing gimbal calibrations before most of my flights. Not all the time, but some. I hope that is something that DJI can correct. I remember when the Mavic 3 Pro first launched, I had horizon tilt with that, and it was only after a few firmware updates that they were able to resolve that. I don't believe it's a hardware issue, but I hope it's something that they do resolve, because it's just annoying to have to calibrate each time. A lot of the times I just want to get this up in the air and start flying immediately. And if I have to do a gimbal calibration each time, it just takes time away from being able to capture whatever it is that I'm doing. But those are two issues that I did find with this drone that I did want to bring to your attention. I think it's important to talk about the good and the bad when it comes to these drones. And flying this for 30 days, you get to sort of see it all. And I will say it has traveled incredibly well. The GPS is far faster than any other DJI drone. The overall results of this drone are far better. And if I didn't make mention of it already, I have barely ever put an SD card in this drone thanks to that new enhanced storage. I think we have 42 gigs of onboard storage, which is probably my favorite aspect of this drone. So if you're somebody that's on the fence and you have an older DJI drone, you'll be happy to know that this is a great upgrade. Now, with that being said, could there be something new coming down the pipe, like a Mavic 4 or something like that? Absolutely. With DJI, the possibilities are always endless. And if you're going to sit out and wait for the next best thing, you'll always be waiting. Personally, I just prefer to buy what's out right now so I can get the best possible result for my clients. But again, that's up to you and whether or not you can do that and whether you can afford to do so, but that's just my take on that. And then I know a lot of people are gonna ask, well, if I buy this drone now, am I still going to have issues with customs? And what I found, it's honestly been more like a 30-70 split. 70% of the units are making it to their original destination, while about 30% of the units I just spit everywhere. Hopefully that came through in HD. This is 4K. 30% of the units, I would say, have been detained or asked for additional information. But the good news is eventually it will make it to you if your unit is detained. Fill out the information. I have been working with DHL for them to try to research this and figure out what they need to do with customs to hopefully expedite other people's orders that have been delayed, because it's just not good enough that I was able to get my unit. I want to make sure everybody that's ordered one of these do get their unit. So I am actively working with DHL to make sure that that is a reality and that other units aren't detained for false reasons. I think it's absolute bullshit that that even happened in the first place. You know it's bullshit, I know it's bullshit, and hopefully it doesn't happen for the future, because with the holiday season coming up, you're probably thinking about purchasing one of these, and it would really suck to have that delayed for 30 days. But there you go. That's my thoughts on the Air 3S after flying this for 30 days. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Again, this is just the first of many. If you noticed, I am sort of in a new spot. I moved to downtown Tampa, and I'm going to be filming a lot more videos. Just outside my backyard is downtown, which is incredible, which means I can fly at any time I want, at any time of day, which I never had that luxury before. I'm pretty excited about it. There's a lot of stuff going on in my personal life that I want to share with you when the time is right. I try to keep this channel completely transparent, and I appreciate all of your support as always. Stay original.